This is the box that your ISP gave you for free. It is also the reason why your Homelab has a blind spot that you do not know about. It was built to get you online, pass a speed test, and technically disappear in a closet or behind a TV or even on the ground somewhere. Protecting what's behind it was never part of the job at all. My name is Sammy. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get started. This is the alternative right here. And today I am making the case that if you are serious about the Homelab, your firewall is not an accessory you add later. You start with the firewall. It's technically step 0, the very first decision before VLANs, before your NAS, before your Proxmox, or before anything else. And here is what your ISP has done on your network. One flat subnet. It does not matter if that flat subnet is only using wires. For instance, number 1, flat wired network. So every device on that network is connected with a cable. It doesn't matter if it is a printer, it could be a game console, PlayStation, Xbox, etc. TV, your smart TV, your desktop, anything else, your NAS or anything. So they're all using wired connection, which is cables. The other flat network is actually wireless network, where every device on that network, they're all using wireless signals. It doesn't matter if it is your desktop or it can be a laptop, your phone, smart TV, your tablet, your game consoles too. So they also connect through wireless. And third, which we see almost everywhere, is the hybrid flat network, where we have all of our phones, laptops, our game consoles, our other devices. They are all using still one flat network. Some of them are connected using a cable. The others are not connected via cable, but they are connected via wireless. So there is no segmentation, which means there is no VLAN, no way to isolate a compromised device. Also, that box that you received from them, right? The firewall box, the software on it, it is closed source. There is nothing you can do with it. You cannot remove it. You cannot do anything with it. And you do not know the type of telemetries or the type of logs it's collecting on your network, on what you do every day. Or you never know. It may not be logging anything at all. No IDS, no IPS, no real visibility into east-west traffic and traffic moving between your devices on that same network, which is exactly where lateral movement happens after a breach, which means if device 1 is compromised, it can literally try to find out what other devices are on the same network. They are gonna find definitely device 2, device 3, even though device 3 might be using wireless, etc. It will be found. No device is safe. One more thing is updates happen on their own schedule. And in case there is a known vulnerability sitting in that firmware on their box, you have no idea. You're waiting on someone to patch it for you because you don't even know. So if you're building a Homelab, you're running a lot of services, right? Experimenting with a lot of different stuff like building an Active Directory lab, a security stack, or anything. All of this sits behind a router that you cannot segment, that you do not have most of the control over. And in some cases, you cannot even see the logs. What does that mean for your Homelab, your security stack that you are building? Well, unfortunately, your security lab, your Homelab, has a blind spot at the front door. So everything people get excited about, VLANs, network segmentations, a proper SIM, IDS and IPS, isolating your IoT devices from production servers, all of this, none of it is possible without a real firewall sitting at the edge of your network. And the firewall is not one piece of the Homelab. It's the piece that makes the Homelab. So segmentation without a real firewall enforcing the rules. So what is that then? This is just a diagram, nothing else. So monitoring without a real firewall, feeding it real data, it's just monitoring half a picture or something. So before we talk about services, before we talk about what we are going to virtualize next, the first real decision in this hobby was standing at your network's front door. And what is it capable of? What can it do? And this is the part I want to be clear about. There is no single box. There's a spectrum. So where you land depends on your budget, your space, and how much you love playing with computers, how much you love tinkering. So I'm sure you do have a few options. So if you have any of these laying around, for instance, unfortunately, these have only 1 gig network cards. in them. Some of them have two. If yours has only one network card, like this one right here, what you can do is actually get yourself a cheap USB to Ethernet adapter. And now guess what? Once you plug it in, you will have two Ethernet port, which is enough to start building your own firewall. Other options are an old desktop, an old laptop. Other ways to get yourself a firewall just in case you don't have, an old laptop, an old desktop laying around. And if you get like 20, 30 bucks, 50 bucks, what you can do is actually go on Facebook Marketplace. You can also go on eBay. eBay is a little inflated right now because of the RAM apocalypse. However, if you are patient enough and then you filter, you will find something very, very cheap, very decent, where you can actually get a decent desktop with decent power that you can do that. You don't need a lot of power to build a firewall. And Facebook, actually, wherever you are, it's actually a little better than eBay. You will find a lot of computers. I bet you this one right here, it can do that. I'm sure this one has a PCIe a slot where you can actually buy yourself one of these cards. You need at least 2 or 4 Ethernet ports on one PCIe card. So this one is a little not too expensive, but it's good enough. But if you are patient enough and then you filter, you will definitely find something very cheap. Look at this one right here. It has 4 ports, okay? Each one of them is 1 gigabyte. And this is more than enough. If you hook this into a desktop, you're going to have a very powerful firewall because it has multiple NICs. When I say NICs, I mean network interface cards. Other options right now is to go after end-of-life enterprise hardware. Yeah, this is the best option so far. So those small end-of-life enterprise hardware, for instance, like this one, right? So if I open it in a new page, so this is a little smaller than the one I have, but this one has 4 NIC, all right? It has 4 ports. Okay, this is actually very good for someone who is just starting with home labbing and they need something very cheap. And $40 of best offer, this is very good. So because it has 4 Ethernet ports, it uses very low power, all right? Low power draw, very small footprints, and you can even put them in a server rack or something because they're also small. This is, for instance, the SG115W. The W stands for Wi-Fi, but you won't necessarily need the Wi-Fi in it. And for mid-range enterprise end-of-life hardware, you have these, for instance, for Sophos, right? And this is the Sophos SG135 revision 3, like the one I have. This is my favorite. Do not let the price scare you. Mine, I did not buy it for that much. I bought mine for $40, best offer. Another version of this SG135 is the Rev 2. I also have a revision 2, this one right here, but it died on me a few months ago. Then I replaced it with a revision 3, but this is the revision 2 right here. So again, and the power or the capabilities are technically the same. Internals are slightly different when it comes to the revision 2 compared to the revision 3. This is my pick, the Sophos SG135 revision 3. If you find Sophos XG instead of SG, you find XG. The XG is also good. I think I saw a couple XG. If you find this one on screen, the Sophos XG revision 3, slightly different for the box, but it is actually the exact same, all right? 6 gigabyte DDR4, 4 CPU cores, 64 gigabyte SSD. They use different licensing. The reason why one is XG, the other one is SG, but technically it's the same. This is actually a very good buy. If you find this, grab it. And let's say that you have a lot of devices and you want even a bigger one, a bigger Sophos box, that can do even more, that has more processing power. You can definitely get yourself an SG330. There's also an SG, if I recall, 210. Those have more processing power. If you need that kind of load at your home, you have a lot of devices and stuff like that, please go for it. But me, something like this one right here, SG125, 35, those are technically the same. And the Protectly boxes are also very good choices. They come with 4 Ethernet ports built in, but unfortunately, I cannot really recommend them unless you have one or you can find one on Facebook or somewhere else that is a bit cheap, but I do not recommend them because of their exorbitant prices. But if you have one laying around already, this is a great choice. So why did I pick the Sophos SG135 revision 3? Well, this is my reasoning. 8 NICs. 8 NICs mean I could actually build the segmentation that I wanted. Dedicated interfaces instead of fighting through everything through a tagged VLANs. Let's say if I only had 2 or 3 ports instead of 8. So 8, I have a lot of choices. More physical separation, easier troubleshooting. And the form factor itself fits a shelf or a rack Very easy. And the internals are actually enterprise grade as well, built for a business network, not consumer network like mine. I'm a consumer. This is built for business. It's built to last. So the good thing about these boxes, whether you buy them on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or anywhere else, the prices are very cheap compared to when they were new or sold to businesses. So the reason why they are so cheap right now is because Sophos decided those devices, it's time for them to retire. Time for them to retire them, right? It's a good thing for us homelabbers. So the hardware did not get worse. Not at all. So the company just decided to, make them end of life, EOL. Now the good thing is it doesn't matter that the company decided that they're no longer relevant or something, because once it gets reflashed, it's not going to have the Sophos software running on it, which is exactly what episode 2 is about. Also, a quick note on different revisions. I'm saying revision 2, revision 3, etc. This is the reason. This is the revision 3, the Sophos SG 135 revision 3. It replaced a revision 2 that I have, okay, that died on me a few weeks ago. The thing is, same model number, different internal networking chipset and support lifecycle. And that's enough of a difference because that would be a full comparison, and that could be another video or something. And guess what? Hardware is only half the decision. The hardware you pick, whether it is a dedicated, little box like this, a firewall, or a do-it-yourself like a desktop, laptop, or mini PCs, anything else, right? Most of the time they overkill. It doesn't really matter as much as what you want on them. In the next video, we are going to put OPNsense on this box. We have a few choices. We have pfSense, we have OPNsense, and we have Sophos SG CE or Sophos SG Home Edition, as they call it these days, which is Sophos Firewall, but only for home users, okay? And their licensing varies as well, but this is another story. Next time, I'm installing OPNsense on this box from start to finish and explaining why it is the OS I pick over pfSense, Sophos Home Edition, and everything else. So if you're building a home lab and you haven't sorted out your firewall yet, so that's the one thing you fix before anything else. So this is all I have for you today. Subscribe so you can see the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.